Okay, a very, very quick video. I'm going to try and break down the title of iPet Go and maybe give you some insight into the Legs 11 event, 9/11, 7/11, whatever you want to call it. This iPet Goat thing, this is all about rebirth. Okay, this whole thing is about rebirth here, coming out of the fictional system. I've said it over and over again. Anyway, it's a good one to go watch. There's a ton of stuff that I've talked about in past videos, but we're talking about Jesus being reborn as the Son again. You know, this is all just metaphoric stuff. No need to get bent out of shape about sun worship and all the rest of that stuff. It's all metaphors for what I think is returning to nature, becoming the center of your own universe again. You know, the heliocentric model now. It's all dependent. This whole reality is all dependent on the way you want to look at things. You can look at it in demonic terms, or you can look at it in enlightened terms. That's up to you how you want to judge what certain things mean. I like to look at it from a positive, balanced viewpoint. Now, with that being said, this iPet Goat thing and 9/11, well, let's go to something interesting that I come across while I think I was looking at, no, not that. I was looking at Aztec calendars or something, and this, I don't know how this come into my view, but it did. And of course, as soon as I saw this, and in fact, it wasn't this that I saw, but it was the Coptic New Year had popped up somewhere, and it was the 11th of September. And I said, well, you know, that doesn't happen by chance. And with all this, you know, sun worship and the pyramids of the Masons and all the rest of the stuff that, you know, you just have to start like laughing about almost. I said this doesn't happen by chance, you know. So we've got the start of the new year. This is the start of the new year in the ancient Egyptian calendar. I don't know if it still is up to this day, the start of the new year for them. But anyway, let me explain. So we've got what we've got here is we've got 4 months that they call Akhet. That's an Akhet, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see the start dates for each month, and they run about 30 days. And I think they, as it says here, jumps on a leap year, and we're on a leap year this year. 2001 wasn't a leap year. Okay, I'm letting you put 2 and 2 together with a lot of this stuff. I'm not going to point out the obvious. Now, okay, so I did a bit of further investigation into this, because this was, of course, very interesting. And so we went to, in fact, let's not even go on this page, we don't need to. We just go to Wikipedia and look up Opet Festival, because this is the time of year. Here's Akhet, okay, and it's the season of the inundation, okay, the flood. So this is when the Nile would have flooded back in the olden days and returned fertility back to Egypt. You know, back to the Fertile Crescent of Egypt. And I'll just make one little note here. I don't know if you've noticed Delta popping up a lot. They had a storm, and they had someone else they named Delta the other day. I keep seeing deltas popping up. Well, delta is a triangle, basically. In science, delta is a triangle. The delta is a triangle, and it's the fertile place. It's the shape of a womb. Okay, so we're referencing a woman's womb again, the place that you're born from, the fertile crescent, the fertile triangle, the the womb, the V. Okay, so we've got this Opet. Well, if we look at the Egyptian spelling, well, I would say the Egyptian spelling, but anyway, it's really IPET. We're dealing with IPET. So are we seeing where the IPET goat 2 now is coming from? And this rebirth of man, this is Aket 2. It can't get more simpler than that. Basically, change that O there to an I. Okay, it really should be IPET, and it's Aket 2, the second month, the festival of IPET. And where does it take place? Thebes or Luxor, and also this other place, Karnak Temple, which is near Luxor. Okay, and in fact, if we look, and it's all to do with Luxor, and I'm going to let you go and Google this, get it up on Wikipedia, and you can see, what we're looking at here. There's also some other later on, actually, if we go down here to this will give us a little bit better look at it. Hopefully you can see all these pages that I'm at. But if we look at this, so this is the season of the flood. Of course, these calendar days are the Coptic calendar days. So you've got to convert them over. But you've got the season of the flood. This is month 1, and here's the names up here. Thor, and there's several different names. It's not just limited to these couple of names here. There's a couple other names as well. So it gets, I don't know if it gets slightly confusing, but you have to kind of keep track of what you're dealing with. And of course there's several different names for the second month. So, but what we want to look at is these dates here. So we've got day 15 is the start of IPET Festival. We've got a day 19 the start of IPET Festival as the 27th day festivities. And this is dealing with Amun Ra. Can't even say that now, it's so late at night. And they don't have it written down here, but if we go back, we'll see that it's to do with Amun Ra. And some interesting dates. And I'm going to be looking at a couple of these dates here in a minute. Right, let's go to a different calendar. So you can see now, and this third month here, the Nebuchadnezzar, or whatever the hell that is, we've got some interesting dates here as well. And this is again more to do with the rebirth, and I think some of this is to do with the celebration of Osiris and etc, etc, etc. I'm not going to baby step us through everything here because there's just too much information to get through. I just want to put it out there so that other people can go and look at this themselves. Okay, yeah, this was this Nebuchadnezzar, 29th of November. Okay, that Black Friday date that I'd gone on about, and this is literally meant he who unites the Cass or the car. Interestingly, we've got bloody Ivanka Trump. I mean, there's so many links, I just can't go through them all. Look at this, the daughter of these four gods, blah blah blah. I'm not even going to read this to you, but oh dear, we've got so many links now. Of course, the Luxor, Karnak. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this. This is a picture of the gate at Karnak. Interesting. That gateway looks very familiar to the two legs coming off of the bottom of the dam. If the dam was up here, coming up at 90 degrees or so, these would be the two legs at the bottom, and the Colorado coming out through there. And let's just rattle through these. Okay, I wanted to get to this. So this is the second month. This is and here they've actually put it in simple terms, Amun-Ra. Okay, for us layman's. Traveled from Karnak to Luxor. Okay, and that's again the Luxor at Las Vegas. Come on, are we getting this now? Anyway, we've got some interesting dates here. So this is the Coptic. I think you can see all this. Let's go down to some interesting dates down the bottom here. The 15th, if you remember, that was on that time frame that we just looked at. And what have we got on? This is the Gregorian here, where we are now, the 25th, which in fact, well, I attempted to start on the 25th, but now we're on the 26th. Now, an interesting day here, the 26th. That is today, the day that this video will be coming out. Does this jump to this year, because this is a leap year this year? So we're actually going, so we have a reference to the 25th, which actually the 25th, I just watched Speed again the other day, and the bus in Speed was 2525. And at the end of Speed, they've got an interesting bit where the train bursts through out onto. I mean that film's loaded with stuff, but the train bursts out onto Hollywood. I don't know if that's Hollywood Boulevard or what that is, but where the I've been there as well. That's a sad thing. Can't think what it's called. But anyway, the Chinese theatre's there playing 2001, A Space Odyssey, and the train bursts out of this, comes up out of the ground, is rebirthed, and there's an image in the background of what looks like you could associate it with the dam being busted, and there's also two smoking towers. You should go look at the end of Speed and look at that little bit there. Interesting. Anyway, I'm digressing here, but anyway, we've got the 25th is referenced in Back to the Future as well. Clocks are 25 minutes slow or fast, I don't know. Right at the start, where Marty gets rebirthed when the speaker blows up on him, the big Death Star speaker there, so we've got tons of references to the 25, and of course we've got tons of references in Back to the Future to the 26th of October. I mean, on the time circuits we've got the 26th. I'm going to talk about Clockwork Orange in a minute. There's a reference to the 26th. I don't know if it's the 26th or 25th. And there's a 9/11 reference in there. There's tons of 9/11 references in all these Kubrick films, but the bit where Alex gets, digressing just a little bit here, but the part where Alex gets caught by the police, there is a calendar. There's an 11 scrubbed out, and I think it's a 26 scrubbed out. So, and there's also a reference in Clockwork Orange to the virus ongoing right now at the minute. So I'll get to Clockwork Orange in a minute, but so we've got this date. We've also got this 29th date, this 29 day, which will be coming up shortly, and Halloween and all that ritual type stuff as well. But But that's the 19 date that we saw just a minute ago as well. And, of course, the 29 referencing copper. So, you know, it's anybody's guess at what... I mean, I think I've said this in other videos. You could almost pick any day of the month, and there's just tons of stuff that would reference it in one way or another. And all these things that re-reference each other in different ways. You know, these people that pull out dates all the time, what I'm doing right now, but they pull out dates. You literally could do that for almost any event out there. You could probably, if you delve into it, you can probably pick out dozens and dozens and dozens of predictive dates. It's just the way reality works. All these dates seem to be, everything seems to be interlinked. Anyway, I don't know where to go from here. So we've got this copper date coming up with the 29, that being copper. We've got the 19, and then we're going to be shortly into November. And of course, we've got the, this 26 date. What was it? Donnie Darko, one that everybody likes to pull up about. This is, again, I'm not being funny, but this is about this guy dealing with the fictional aspect of reality through time travel. Yeah, time travel is dealing with the fiction. The future and the past are fiction. And that's the things that tend to control people, is the idea of the future, what to do in the future, and what we've done in the past. Those are the ideas, things that create fear, that control us. The present is where it is at. I know it sounds corny, and I know a million people say this, but the present is a present given to you. But here we got the 26th. We've got this whole ritual date here. This 4 days here running, and it's starting on the 26th. The Hallow Eve, and the reference to Eve again. The day before All Saints' Day, before the saint is born. I mean, All Hallows Eve and All Saints' Day the next day. Do you want to become a saint, or do you want to stay, a goblin? I'm running out of stuff to say, really. But anyway, interesting. We're back to the orange again. The orange. The Ockwork, or the Clockwork. The Clockwork orange. I just thought, I don't know why I've got onto Kubrick again, but I thought, with the 2001 references, there's no doubt that Kubrick's going to have a ton of references to all these events in his so-called artwork, or, his films. So, this film, what this has to do with Clockwork and the colour orange is anybody's guess if you watch the film. Clockwork, again, we're back to time traveling again, and of course Alex steals watches and keeps them in a drawer with all his money that he steals when he does his robbing and raping and all the rest of the crap he gets on with. Not actually a very pleasant film to watch, at least not the start of it. But yeah, Clockwork. We're talking about time again. We're talking about numbers again. Everything, all these numbers that we're seeing, It's all clockwork. The colour orange. Are we dealing with again the reference to copper again, and a reference to the sun, the orange of the sun, the copper. Okay, we've got the A, we've got the delta, the triangle, the pyramid, the delta. We've got A for Adam. We've got flip it up, and we've got the delta. We've got the womb of man. What happens to Alex in the film? He has to be reborn, and there's something really interesting in the film that I want to show you. Here we've got the woman, and in the film there's tons of pictures of women's legs apart, you know, in a depraved manner, but references to that place that you come from, what bears the real man. And there's a lot to do with natural law in there, and an eye for an eye, and funnily enough we've got an eye on his cuff there. Anyway, I don't want to waffle too much on A Clockwork Orange, but yeah, okay, here we go. This was what was interesting, where he goes for his prison sentence. Wandsworth Prison, a real place that they do an aerial shot of, and there's a reason why they do an aerial shot of that in the I mean, they didn't have to do an aerial shot of that building, but there's a reference there. Look at the building. We've got the Cross of Lorraine, we've got the X marks the spot, okay, the balancing point, and we've got the delta here. We've got the flux capacitor, the Virgin Mary, the place where you are born from, the Holy Trinity, the balancing of fiction and the material realm via the man. Three becoming one. The Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. Whichever way you want to look at it. But this gets put in here for a reason, in the film for a reason. That location gets chosen for a reason, because the people that build this stuff have an idea of what it means. And you know, no doubt it's a prison, and it's done like this for a reason. It's about taking people that have done wrong and trying to bring them back to justice, back to nature, rebirthing them as a changed man, hopefully. You know, and by building the prison like that, hopefully they're trying to do some kind of spiritual awakening with these people. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some kind of energy associated with this. Who knows? But it's interesting. Anyway, that's my Clockwork Orange bit. Okay, let's look at dates here. This is the regular calendar. This is days of the year that we've had, and this is days left. So the 26th, which is actually today, Monday, we've got 300 days gone, 66 days left. Quite interesting. Another interesting, you know, another interesting day is the 29th. We can knock that 0 out of there, the 303, the 33, and we've got the 663, the 3 6s, you know. I mean, you just can't write this stuff. This is why I say most of these dates through here, as I was going through them, there's some kind of, you could almost just, you know, roll a dice on what day you want to pick, because they've all got, there's reference with all of them. Once you start looking at this stuff, you'll realize, holy crap, this stuff, you know, it's all interrelated. And funnily enough, you know, just via the way I've done things, you know, all of a sudden now the 1st of October is related to to the 10th of October is related to the 18th of October, all through all these different things, and, you know, is now related to all these other dates in October. And not just because they're in the month of October. Anyway, hopefully we're not waffling on too much. But, you know, where do I go from here? You know, I mean, if it's on the 29th, if we go back to my Lucas numbers, and I've got a chart of Lucas numbers up, but if you go back to my calendar, the Golden Key of Lorraine chart that I did, the first video of that, I think you can see it, but you've got these numbers. And then, of course, we've got some crosses coming in. 1 at the 5, which is perfect balance, because we're only going up to 10, really, but you've got 1 at the 5, which is perfect balance, and this is why 11 is so important. The idea of the clone, the fictional man and the real man, the 2 towers. It's the first twin number, and it's identical. It's a reflection. You know, when you go to 22, it's not really a proper reflection. And if you go to 33, it's not really a proper reflection. And then I think the next proper reflection is probably 88, where you can look at the number and it's the same number, if you like. It's not got to be, it looks the same, if you get my meaning. If you were to just put a mirror there, it would look the same. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, these numbers here, you'll see these numbers popping up all over the blooming place. And then you can also do some tally numbers for the row 10, which I didn't do. And you can also tally up these 2 rows in my chart, and you'll get, I think I had that on there, 55 and 88. And if you tally up some of these rows up from the 10 column onwards, you'll get a 55 again. And you'll get a 143, and you'll get a 321, and you'll get a 410 and a 588. So you get a bunch of interesting numbers and reflections again of 5 and 88 and 55 and 88. It just pops up over and over again in here. Where was I going to go with this? I've completely lost my train of thought now. I'm sorry, but I think I've pretty much covered everything with the Egyptian stuff. You can go look up. What have I got here? Oh, this was just some other names for it again. For this calendar, you know, 30 days and blah de blah de blah. You can look at the names there. Oh yeah, it did say the Julian calendar. This was something I just wanted to touch on, because I thought this was interesting, because I put in today, well, I say today's date, it's now the 26th, but I put in the 25th of October 2020, and this might be why the 25th pops up a lot. 21st century, okay, yeah, that's what we're in, isn't it? Yeah. This is what came up. 1885. This is a converter. Gregorian to ancient Egyptian date, if you can't read that, because it's a bit light on the screen there. I don't know how you say that. Yeah, Helios. I think it's supposed to be, it's like Helios. It's talking about the sun again. And Antonius. Is that how you say that? I'm not sure, but this is Roman, I'm guessing. Something like that. Anyway, we're back to the season of Peter. I don't know why this has come out like this when I put it in this converter, but maybe this is where we're at now compared with ancient Egypt. I'm not sure. But I just thought it was interesting and worth a mention, because we've got the 7th month and the 11th day and 1885. Back to the Future reference there, where they go back to the Old West. Referenced for this 25 again in October, the 25th of October in Speed, the 25th of October 2020 and the 21st century. I thought that was interesting and worth a mention. What else have I got here that I haven't talked about? Okay, that was just another page on it, but of course Memphis, Heliopolis, and we talk about the King and Elvis, our good old friend Elvis, and I think I mentioned in my other, Viva Las Vegas, long live, or live Vegas, or long live Vegas. But is it where Elvis, anagram Elvis, lives, and Viva Las Vegas, lives Vegas, and is this the place where man will become alive once again? Born from the fiction and the sin of the fictional sin as well, which is Vegas. What a place to be reborn from. I don't think I'm going to cover anything else in there. I've already talked about the 29th of November. We've talked about Donnie Darko and that little reference. There's a ton of stuff in Donnie Darko as well, and I'm sure everybody goes on about that though in the truther area. So we're back to the penny again, and I wanted to talk about, there's an early penny there, Civil War token. Are we going back into a civil war? Are you dealing with your own little civil war between the fiction and the sun, nature, the Christ? Is this what we're talking about? Your own little civil war within yourself. The metaphors are everywhere. I've heard it mentioned in the actual real news. Well, I haven't heard it mentioned, but my in-laws have talked about the news mentioning Civil War again. We've done the Prison. We've done a Clockwork Orange. I'm rattling through them now. We're back on this penny again, and this is the first penny here. It's called the Fugio, a bit like fugitive, or Fugio. I don't know how you would pronounce that really, but I'm going to call it the Fugio. Fugio. Says mind your business on it. It's got a sundial on it. Interesting. It's got a sun. Looks a bit like a blooming. Not a very. The face of the sun doesn't look that great. It looks almost like a little bit scullified. We've got the rings. There you go. 13 rings. The 13 original states. The ring being the control. Oh look, there's a better version. Looks like a redone one here. Let's have a look at that real quick. See if you can an up-to-date version. Interesting, isn't it? Anyway, I guess there's a few other versions here that might be a better one to look at. No, it's the same one. Anyway, waffling on, Dan. Let's get to the point. Let's look up when this was first. Well, it says on it, didn't it? 1787. This site here is going to reconfirm that for us. Whether this is believable or not, I don't know. But 1787. If we do some mathematics and we count up the number of years to where we're at now, we have got 233 years. And where do we see the 233 years? This is why I had the Lucas numbers up, I'm sure, earlier. Well, it's over here in the Fibonacci side of things. In the Lucas side of things, we've got the skull and crossbones number, 322. On the 12th number, and in the Fibonacci, we have the 13th number being the 233. 233 years since the event. What the reference is there, I'm not quite sure. But if you look at my chart as well, the interesting thing about The 233 is if you go all the way down on my chart and go to the what I call the phi row, which is the bottom row, and you come across on my two, I should have got my chart up really, but you come across on my two balancing columns. At the bottom of those two balancing columns, we have a 20 and a 33. Get rid of the 0, and we've got the 233. I just thought that was interesting. A reference to a date and the whole thing that's going on with the copper in my chart and everybody else talking about copper. I thought that was interesting, this 322 popping up again. So let's just do one little bit more, because Abraham Lincoln and the whole this whole copper thing, and of course there was another guy talking about the Abraham Lincoln link in iPet Goat as well. If you look at the genie, what I call the genie in that thing that's controlling the man on the screen, he does have a beard or a chinny chin that looks a bit like Lincoln, and I think he has an upside down triangle on the bottom of his chin. Again, the delta again about rebirth, and the dam again, I think, a reference to it, but also Lincoln's upside down on the penny, so a Peter reference again maybe, and also the upside down pyramid, maybe another Lincoln reference. I don't know, I'm going around in circles now with all this stuff. I clicked on a few bits and bobs here, but what I thought was interesting with all the numbers, with Lincoln and the penny and him being on the penny, and this 322 now, or the 233 should I say rather, and the 2033 at the bottom of my, well, I call it my chart, just this Cross of Lorraine chart that I come up with. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, his assassination date, 1865. Let's do some maths on that date, on some years, because if we're trying to calculate a year that this is going to happen, why don't we just work off of the years rather than, you know, calendar dates? Let's work off the actual years. Okay. By my calculations, which sometimes aren't the best, I've got 35 years to bring us up to 1900, another 100 years, and then another 20 years. And that comes up to 155 years. So we've got the 155, we've got the 55 reference basically. And I'm trying to think whether there was any other references to the 15. Gosh, I don't know off the top of my head. But we've got a 55 reference, and I just thought that was interesting that there's 155 years past, and we've also got that 233 reference with him as well, and we've also got the reference of the penny being now where did, oh, this was another reference here. This is another thing I need to talk to you about. But the copper going from 100% copper to the penny going from 100% down to 88%. Okay, one other thing, Fugio, or Fugio, or however the hell you say that, means, in Latin, means I flee or I fly. Okay, and then of course they change they have the eagle scent come out. The flying eagle scent comes out in 1856. More interesting numbers there, really, basically. But anyway, again, another Back to the Future reference with McFly and the penny, referring back to McFly, the penny. I don't know where else I want to go with this, really, to tell you the truth. Like I said, there's so many references. I mean, I could go on for days, with the references, and you can link to so many different dates. So like today, and we've got the 29th coming up, and then what year do you want to pick? And it's anybody's guess, really, because it's just there's so much stuff. I will say an interesting thing. Somebody said something about twins the other day, and this whole idea of twins again, and so that got me thinking again. Of course, with we've got Lincoln and the twin assassination of JFK, and what was JFK associated with? JFK was around the time when we came completely, I believe, did we come completely off of gold that time? I think that was when they did that was the final curtain for the dollar being connected to gold. And they finally took us off the gold standard. I mean, I know they took it off. I mean, I know back in the 30s we went off of it, but it wasn't completely removed from gold until I'm sure it was JFK that did that, and then the conspiracy people will come out with that. That's why he was killed, because he was trying to get us back on the gold standard or whatever. Anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter, or didn't want to come off the gold. I'm digressing, but that twin aspect again, and again we've got a reference to the removal of money with Lincoln and the penny, the original, the first coin that was, I'm guessing this was the first authorized by the United States, was the first currency. The 1 cent coin, or the penny, was the first currency authorized by the United States, according to penny.org, which I can't get on that site for some reason. So this whole ritual thing, 2030, this is the start of it now, removing this. 2030, is this going to be gone? Will we be completely on electronic money? Probably. There will still be some kind of currency, hard currency, but there will be a two-stage thing. That currency will not be directly, I don't think, linked. Well, it will be linked, but it will be separate. Whatever currency we have will be awkward to use. Let me put it that way. And not many people will use it. It will be very awkward to use. And it will probably come at a cost to using it as well. There'll be some kind of penalty to using it. Oh, I think I've done this one to death. We got the McFly in there. But the twin thing with the JFK, there is a twin dam event, and that was that Viant Dam back over in Italy. The Viant, or the Vajont, that dam is the twin event. I don't know why they have to have a twin event, like the Empire State Building getting hit by a plane. I think there was an inflated tire at the bottom of that one for Matt. Anyway, for some reason we have to have these twin events. Not sure quite why, but it's to do with balancing things. Having this twin event is to do with balance again. It's to do with it's just to do with balance, equalizing things, the positive and the negative. You've got to have two, in the reality that we're in, this is why twins are so important. This is why, if they do an event, was going to be a synchronicity with another event, a twin event to everything that happens, one way or another. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to download and get up. Okay, cheers, thanks, bye.